of South Central Michigan, President and CEO Chris Sargent, and from United Way of Jackson and United Way of South Central Michigan, Chief Operations Officer Ken Toll. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bart.
And welcome to Jackson.
Yeah, appreciate that.
So you're here as a result of a merger that we talked about earlier this year. So our viewers, well, and me, meeting you for the first time, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm originally from Hillsdale, Michigan. So my story in connection with Jackson is we used to come to the big city growing up of Jackson, where we'd go to the mall and, of course, go to Bill Knapp's and eat some chocolate cake. So that was kind of my connection in the area and in the region, and have lived all over Michigan since, but currently in Battle Creek.
How long have you been with the United Way?
So I've been with this United Way and now this merged United Way for almost 18 years.
Oh, wow.
So most of my professional career is with United Way, but back to your previous segment, I used to sell real estate in between nonprofit careers too.
Well, Ken, I think you've been at our United Way for that long, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been CEO for 16 years.
Wow.
And I was there for 4 years prior doing impact work. So Chris and I have both been in the system for a while.
So with this merger, so many people had questions. Are we going to lose our office? Are we going to lose local focus? Mm-hmm. So because we have a 90-year history of having United Way. So how is the impact of the United Way in Jackson change, or does it with the merger?
Yeah, it really doesn't for the local community, because to your point, we've been in Jackson County now serving the community for over 90 years. And sometimes when people hear merger, they might think, oh, we're going to lose local identity, and actually quite the opposite. We're doing the merger to be a single effective administration and organization so that we can keep operations local. So we'll continue to have offices in Jackson. The dollars that we raise here will stay and be invested here in the local nonprofit programs that we support, and the staff will continue to lead on key social issues here for this community.
And Ken, I know you were a fan of this happening, and I think Consumers Energy was probably one of the driving forces, being as big a part of our United Way. What did you see, when this first started being discussed, what did you see as the community's advantages to a merger?
Yeah, there are many, and that's why this was such a good move for us. I've been working with Chris and Teresa, the other United Way exec who merged with us, Teresa Kometz from Lansing, and we've been talking for a long time about doing more together. How can we get more efficient? Can we share services? Can we share a financial back office? Can we share HR support? And the more we looked at it, the more we realized, it might be easier simply to merge than to try to create these new structures for administrative efficiencies. So we called the boards together and said, let's talk about this. What do you think we just talk and see whether this looks like a good idea or not? And the board said, sure, we're willing to talk about it. You really want to do this? And we said, absolutely. And every single conversation, you could see the lights going on that this is going to be better for us. We've seen a lot of mergers that didn't go well. We've learned from them, and we know that we can do this in a way that creates more opportunity for positive impact, and that's ultimately all we're about. How do we fix problems in Jackson? How do we give people a better tomorrow and more equitable opportunities? And so this merger is going to give Jackson a whole lot more new tools. We couldn't afford the stellar donor database that we have right now. We couldn't afford a chief impact officer. And here's a new scoop for you. We have hired a chief impact officer, a C-suite level for our team, who will be watching impact, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Their name is Jen Sue Bishop, and we're really pleased. Just started this week, and going to be really good for our team to have that new filter, a very high level, very well-defined picture of how can we be more equitable as a philanthropic organization. So better tools, a better team. We're a team of 55 now. So all of our team members who are working alone now have counterparts in very similar communities to bounce ideas off of and build synergies. It's just been really, really wonderful to see the lights go on with those folks to say, I'm part of a big team now, I have more depth, we can do more together.
So the economics of scale by working as one, you don't have to have like 3 different payroll departments, 3 different, all that. That's part of the economics of the merger.
Absolutely. Yeah, it just makes us more efficient, and we have less overhead costs so that we can invest more in the community and in the programs that we support.
And Ken, your title changes from CEO to COO. You're going to have to get rid of all those I'm the CEO t-shirts. But other than that, What's the effect?
Yeah, as operations officer now, my job is to try to make things run smoothly, which I always had to do as CEO, but now I don't have to worry about all the other things as well. So I can really focus on the technology, focus on team building, focus on the culture, and just try to drive excellence and efficiency in everything we do. We've always hit the bar really well for excellence, but there's a lot more we can do, I think, with efficiency that will allow us to stretch even further. And so I'm on a mission to find those things and figure them out and make them happen smoothly.
And on the other end of it, the fundraising, so each community has their donor base. And so will Jackson, as an example, will we get our hands on some of that Stryker and Upjohn money?
So our commitment is every dollar that we raise locally will be invested locally. But what is true, in all seriousness, about the combination and the merger is we know that it'll bring more resources overall into each of those communities because we have a larger footprint. A lot of our partners, whether it be federal dollars, state dollars, even foundational and private dollars, are more likely to invest at a higher rate than what we've experienced before.
Is this being done elsewhere?
It is. So we actually have experience doing this. In Battle Creek and Kalamazoo, we merged together 10 years ago. Lansing merged with Eaton County 5 years ago. And so we have some experience doing this. And there's other United Ways across the state and across the country that are doing this.
A few years ago, our United Way, we got narrower in our focus and really working on financial stability.
Yep.
That was the primary. Everything we did was geared toward our communities, families' financial stability.
Yep.
Is the previous United Ways, Kalamazoo, capital area, have they had the same mission?
Yeah, there's similar alignment to that. A little bit different in each community because one thing that we're still going to do is honor what the community is looking for United Way to play in terms of a partnership and a leadership role. But what you'll see is, to Ken's point, we'll be focused on equity, we'll be focused on helping those that are below the ALICE threshold. So that'll be consistent from both a values and an investment standpoint.
All right, so already we're seeing something that's different with you in your new title. So what are we going to, physical, obvious things are we going to see in the months ahead as a result of this combination?
Yeah, I don't think you'll see anything different from a community perspective. So offices will stay where they're at. Partners will continue to do great work. We'll continue to lead on key issues of housing and food and those types of things that everybody would expect. What people are going to see is an opportunity to give coming up as part of this year's campaign in the fall and give locally so those dollars can be invested. And they might start seeing some new best practice ideas being brought in this community that can be successful. It's important to mention our largest program of the organization is here in Jackson. The PAC program that we do in partnership throughout the state, really helping on utility assistance. Partners at Consumers Energy are part of that as well. So that's just a bright spot that we can lift up and think about how we can continue to expand that across the region and the state.
Yeah, we are going to have a local community advisory committee, which will kind of guide things like the annual campaign kickoff. Do we want to have another boat race this year? It's not going to be Chris's job to decide what we do here in Jackson. We'll still have a team of Jackson, a local board, making those kinds of decisions. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of employers who are ready to participate in a boat race this year. They've told us that they're not quite ready to build a boat again, so probably won't do the boat race this year, but Beth is dying to in the future, and hopefully we get back to that. But we'll have some kind of campaign kickoff this year as always, but it'll be decided by a local board that advises the big entity.
Did you hear that? That was a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
Here at JTV.
You were going to build a boat this year?
We were going to build a boat.
All right, then it's on. We're going to do it. It might be a field of one.
No, it's always next year.
Yeah.
Next year. We'll do it next year.
Okay.
And hopefully you'll forget by then. So with the things that we've been dealing with the last couple of years, the pandemic, all of the racial issues and I think the United Way's been looking at diversity, equity, inclusion. You're still working on that, and that's part of the United Way.
Yeah, we're actually
forward.
going to continue to scale that up. So Ken mentioned something that we haven't shared publicly anywhere else except here today, which is our new Chief Equity Officer, Jen, who just started last Thursday. So they will be leading with that team and the organization more focus and continued expansion around that. Really, we're going to continue to look at any economic and racial disparities that exist, and that'll be part of what United Way will continue to address and tackle in a community with everybody else. We want a vibrant community. We want everybody to be able to thrive, and that'll be a part of the values and the mission.
The merger's been, I think, complete for a few months now, so how's it shaking out, Ken?
It's been a really good experience. A lot of new things to learn. The team has had to learn new software, new tools, new systems, and we're still learning all those things. So a big shout out to our team for growing and embracing a lot of change. It has been a lot of change, but again, everyone's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, which is I have a whole bigger team now, very smart, skilled people with a little bit different perspective and different experiences, and that makes us a whole lot stronger. You mentioned financial stability, and one thing we're all absolutely aligned on is that whole ALICE movement is where United Way needs to live. And so all three of our communities have been talking about ALICE for a long time, and we're looking at ways to bring all these different programs together in a little more coherent, seamless fashion to really help ALICEs through that whole cycle of getting off of whatever assistance they need into self-sufficiency. And that's what we'll be focusing on as a United Way of South Central Michigan.
Yeah, you mentioned a couple of things that I think Jackson's United Way has either pioneered or really been focused on JobStar and 211, because as you know, 211 for much of the state, it's happening. It's centered right here, right? So all of that nothing changes with that.
Nothing changes. We're taking a look at 211 to say, I just had a conversation last week with Mary Beth at Lifeways to say, Battle Creek Kalamazoo uses a different 211. Does it make sense to try to combine them or not? And she said, well, I don't know. Let's talk about it. So if there's economic reasons why it might make sense, maybe the 211s will merge and we'll be, 14 counties instead of 7. But maybe that doesn't make sense because 211 doesn't need to be that big. So all these things are on the table to explore. And our bottom line is what's best for the end user. Is it going to help the community for us to do this or not? If the answer is no, it's not going to be an obvious help, then we won't force a merger. But if it'll clearly show a benefit, then we have the capability to do that and make it better. So all I can say is case by case basis, we're working through every single one of these programs to say which ones do we scale up first and which ones fit well together, and maybe which ones don't we need to do anymore.
All right, so if there's one thing that our viewers should know in terms of the merger, things going forward, what would you say that is, Chris?
Well, I would say that local dollars raised, stay local and invested here. So local control still happens as though it always has. And people can find out more on our website at united4uwscmi.org. So that's a great resource to go and hear more and watch us make tremendous progress for this community.
And Ken, how about from your standpoint?
Well, Chris is right. It's all about the local impact and the local support. But on the flip side, we got better tools and toys and a deeper team to do it with. So win-win.
Yeah, so the pandemic, obviously that has huge impact, and not just fundraising, but the services you delivered. Did the pandemic hasten the merger, or did it slow it down?
I would say it just kind of ran in parallel. We were doing a lot during the pandemic, obviously, to scale up support and resources for vulnerable children and families in our communities. But we were also doing a hybrid of remote work, and so we were able to connect a little easier virtually to have some of these conversations. So that helped in some ways, and in other ways, we had full plates going on, and so we just had to manage it. But one thing we're committed to Ken's point, is really operating efficiently so that every dollar that we can gets invested locally in the community.
Great. So the campaign will start in September?
Yeah, probably the first week of September. Yeah.
All right. Good to see you both. Thank you.
Thanks for having us, Bart.
The President and CEO of United Way of South Central Michigan, Chris Sargent, and COO of UWSCM and site leader in Jackson, Ken Toll. Stay with us. We've got